So, oh my gosh, I watched the movie today and I was just blown away by the first 5 minutes of the film.
Really?
Because it's just so beautifully shot as far as...
Thanks to this guy right here. This is
Well, tell me about that, because that is just, I mean, high quality, beautiful, just getting the action, just getting your feet wet and like your interest. Tell me a little bit.
Well, we shot exactly what these guys wrote. Jamie's a very visual writer, so everything that we shot was sort of laid out, you know. Because it has a very strong visual aesthetic, which we talked about before. We're right on page, you know, right on the same level with. So I basically, you know, captured what was already written, you know, and these guys had laid out the visuals, laid out the script so precisely that it wasn't, you know, it wasn't that hard, you know, to capture what they wanted.
Well, tell me about just translating the story onto film. Like, when did you first hear about the story and why were you so interested?
I was 12 years old. It happened in my hometown of Amarillo. I'm actually from there. And so it has always struck a chord with me, and it's always been deep in my heart. And it's just something that it finally came the time to be, you know, let's build a team. Let's see if we can make an army of filmmakers, and let's make this thing happen. And the time was right, and we were like, you know what, let's get that story out there. It's more important now than ever, and now's the time.
So when you were a kid, did you was that seed planted in you that you wanted to do something?
Honestly, no. I never would have even dreamed that we would even have the opportunity to do it. But I mean, thankfully the Deneke family got behind us early on and supported us along the way. Because without their blessing, we wouldn't have done it. Just because I have a lot of ties. It's my hometown, and you know, there's a lot of pressure that goes into it.
Well, tell me about all the talent that you have. Glenn Morshower, I mean, legend.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Glenn kills it. Glenn is amazing. He when Glenn shows up on set, you let Glenn do what he wants pretty much, because Glenn's the man for sure.
So, I mean, tell me about growing up in that small town. I mean, it's just so crazy how different, like how a punk culture can be cultivated in a town like that. Tell me about that.
It's we've always looked at it as it's a lawless town, and I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's the black hole. I say that time does not exist there, and so whenever you have, you know, a small group of like punk rockers, that is their world, and they will take over that world against, you know, whoever they're up against, and just. There, everybody's very conservative. It's the Bible Belt. It's you're up against the odds whenever you're different in that kind of town. And me growing up there personally, I used to do skateboard and BMX videos, and that's kind of like where I kind of ran into the police and whatnot, and kind of was looked at for being different because I rode a bicycle everywhere, I rode a skateboard everywhere, and then so for us to like kind of put ourselves in punk rocker shoes in the same kind of community, it was definitely a different feeling for sure.
That's what I wanted to ask about editing. Like, tell me about that process as well.
We've been editing for about a year now, so it's been a back and forth kind of deal. But Jake shoots amazing stuff, so it's hard to let anything go that, you know, it's all so beautiful. And it was just, we went through a lot of different things that worked in the script, and then stuff that really didn't. And finally, we found the right tone of the film, and then we just stuck with that. So.
I don't recognize you because you're all nice and cleaned up and
no
like
cornrows, no mohawk.
Oh my gosh, it is you. That mohawk was awesome.
Right?
Tell me about how long did it take to
Okay,
do
so
all that?
I was working on a film in New Orleans, and the deal that I made with them was, hey guys, there's this other movie, and if they cast me, I'm out of here. And they said, we totally understand. So they cast me, and we had about 2 days to squeeze 5 days of filming in before I headed to Texas. And we did days into nights. I was awake for 48 hours, flew to Texas. They put me in a chair, gave me a 40 of Old English, and over the next 4 hours, shaved my head and dyed my hair while I was like, Then we did a table read, which I fell asleep during. And the other actors were like, who's this jerk? And Major, the producer, understood. He was like, no, he's been awake for 48 hours. Slept for 13 hours. Woke up the next day, we hit the ground running.
Well, maybe that's good for the character, though, right? Like,
yeah, totally.
It's all good for the character.
Well, did you know anything about this story before you were brought on board?
I did, yeah. I was, aware of it a little bit. But when the script was first brought to me, I read it, and it was one of the most beautiful scripts that I've ever read. And I immediately called my friend Isaiah, who's one of the producers who gave me the script, and I said, I have to be in this project. And my little brother was, speaking of the devil, and my little brother was visiting me in LA, and he was like, we're going to lunch, we're going to the movies, we're going to go to Griffith Observatory. And I was like, no, we're going to put a bunch of toothpaste in my hair, push it up in a mohawk, we're going up into the hills, and we're recording an audition on my skateboard. And my little brother's like, fine.
And it came in, and it was epic.
Have you guys already watched the film?
No.
We haven't seen it. We haven't seen it.
God, it's like the first 5 minutes is what brought me in because visually it's just incredible.
I believe the first 5 minutes, that's where my butt's in it, right? It's visually stunning.
You guys have all seen it. None of us have, so
That's funny,
We
isn't it?
have to. 'Cause we
Yeah,
have to ask
oh,
you
of course,
questions
of
about
course.
it.
Yeah,
I wanna be
yeah.
like, what's your film about? You
just
know, I
don't
wanna
spoil it
know.
for us. That's all we ask.
Yeah, don't
Everyone
tell me what
dies.
happens.
The zombies come out and everyone dies.
Yeah,
okay?
oh,
That's what happens.
Does
Every
Dumbledore
film made.
live?
I did not remember
today.
that part.
So
Yeah, that's
how far apart from you personally are you from the character that you play?
Oh, I'm very different. I mean, I think I am. I mean, I'm from Indiana originally. I love farming. I grow my own food, and I'm a bonsai artist. So very different from Ricky.
You gotta grow stuff to grow.
Yeah, gotta grow stuff to grow. That's the old coin. But
What attracted you?
He was just telling me earlier today that this was the meanest, most despicable character
and
you've ever
and I've
played.
made a career out of bad guys. That's tends where they put me into. And this one, I just was the dirtiest son of a gun I've ever met. But I think acting is controlled schizophrenia, and what draws you to it
Well
is
said.
becoming a friend with that individual and understanding that self. Like me, I've never really been into hip hop, but there's a weird part of me now that likes it. So you become friendly with somebody.
Yeah, this movie was
It's a story.
Yeah.
Like the music is their storytelling.
Yeah.
Punk music is storytelling.
Yeah.
It's your eyes, I think, is what it is. It's like intense.
Oh, yeah, I get scary. Yeah, very sweet.
So how about you? Your character's a little different as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I think I'm totally different than the character, but it was freeing to be different, to be able to go, oh, who is this guy? And to just jump into it and go, okay, I can be this. This will be fun. And you kind of, but there's there's parts that are, you bring a little bit of yourself that are, like schizophrenia thing where it's, maybe there are some of me that is that, and you go, okay, let's explore that. And it's fun to be, I think we all do acting. It's fun to be someone you're not. And I think it's almost easier than trying to be yourself. Trying to be myself on camera is almost harder than going, okay, I can jump into this character. Because really, you judge yourself so much. You do. No, I'm myself now, but I mean, like for an audition or something, you're like, oh, it's you, and then you go, oh, what's me? And you're like, at least for me. So I think for this character, it was much. I'm from Minnesota. I'm from the Midwest. I never even have been to Texas before I started filming this. I tried to do an accent. Who knows how I did with it? I haven't seen the dang film. Well, thank you. So, I didn't have any of that knowledge of, Southern charm or any of that stuff. So, or religious background, like that heavy of what he had. So, it was, I think, quite different, but it was really fun,
And you're going to love it.
Heck yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your character.
Well, actually, I'm a Texas native. I grew up in Gun Barrel City, which is about an hour. You know Gun Barrel? Okay, yeah. Yep, so, Chris Oles that's who I play in the movie. He's a bit of a wild card. He's very, very interesting. Probably, like, out of my whole career, one of the hardest characters I ever played. I actually went and lived with him for about 3 weeks to really get his walk and everything down, but... Yeah, and his talk, I mean, he's a trip, the real guy, but he's really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to forget that this is a real story.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's honestly an honor to be a part of it, and tell this story and hopefully get, the ultimate message, which is, discrimination and stuff and things like that, I mean, it's very real still in today, and especially with all the junk that's going on in the world. So, I mean, hopefully this will impact someone to maybe act a little different or change their mind about how they look at other people in the world,
Well, you grew up in a small town. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, no. When I was a kid, I was like a goth kid. I went through all of them. I was a punker, so constantly ridiculed and picked on. And on top of that, I got red hair, so,
You kind of stand out a little, right?
A little bit, just a little bit.
So how about you?
Yeah.
About your character and your background?
I play Jason. I'm Brian's older brother in the film, and growing up, I was a metalhead, so I could relate to that as well. A metalhead. Listen to a lot of metal music. Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. And so, yeah, I mean, punk and metal it's really closely related. So, yeah. So it wasn't that far of a stretch for me.
So did you also grow up in a small town?
No, I grew up outside Detroit, so yeah. So it was. I'm a city boy. Yeah, definitely.
But so playing this character, did you know about the story before?
No, I didn't. I was instantly drawn to the story when I saw that. I knew I had to be a part of it. Just how raw and real it was, and it was tragic. I knew I had to be a part of it. So yeah.
So what were your guys' days like? I mean, what was the set like? And because it looks kind of insane.
Yeah, we had blood. We were bleeding sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, the last scene. I mean, I had blood on my elbows. Yeah.
This dude, he's insane. He would for the last scene, I don't want to be a spoiler, but he does this thing where he would take off running, and he slides on his knees, no pads, no knee pads, and nothing, on like asphalt, chunky, I don't know how this guy didn't tear his kneecaps off.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it was
crazy,
intense.
dude.
I mean, there was a lot of action in the film. I mean, you've seen it, so yeah, it was a
sets
trip.
were amazing. I mean, the Bomb City Hangout was probably the coolest set.
Definitely.
I mean, we were getting to set things on fire and blow stuff up. I mean, just be hoodlums.
Yeah.
And we got to the mall we shot at. We got to skateboard all through the mall.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
It was
Tony Hawk.
It was a great experience.
Yeah.
We knew we were making something special. I think all of us did.
really
it felt
is.
right from the beginning. So.
It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be one of those cult classics.
That's
that
well. That's
people are
yes.
gonna be talking about.
Yeah. I have that feeling. 20 years from now, people will still be watching this film and
Yeah.
enjoying it.
Well, congratulations.
Thank
you
you.
for talking to
Oh, of
me.
course.
You guys are awesome.
Very nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you.